You are watching and listening to the Electronic Intifada podcast. I'm Nora Barrows-Friedman with Ali Abunimah. We're now joined by Adel Elsharkawy, a Canadian physician based in Calgary, Alberta. He's a pediatrician by training, specializing in newborn critical care medicine, neonatology. He was in Gaza until just last week with a group of delegates from the 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Project, a Canadian medical aid organization helping distribute open source medical equipment and supplies for vulnerable populations all over the world. Dr. Elsharkawy was in Rafah, working on site at the only functioning neonatal unit in Gaza, the Emirati maternity hospital. Dr. Adel, thank you so much for being with us today on the Electronic Intifada live stream.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you very much, Noura, and thank you, Ali, for inviting me for this podcast.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you, Dr. Adel.
Thank you.
So if you could talk a little bit about your 2 weeks on the medical delegation, specifically your work at the Emirati Maternity Hospital. You're a neonatologist. Tell us what that entails, and how you treated the most vulnerable patients there in Rafah.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much for the introduction. Actually, we get a call like there is a desperate need for neonatologists in Gaza, in Rafah. Just to describe a little bit about neonatal care, which is a care for newborn babies who has been born either early preterm baby or baby who has been born sick for any medical or surgical condition. These babies need special unit to be treated with and need specialization, special care, different from general pediatric ward or pediatric emergency hospital. So before that war, there was couple or few of neonatal units. Some of them are very big and very advanced. Actually, I was surprised how much advancement in that unit, including Al-Shifa and Nasser Hospital, where they have very advanced neonatal care. Actually, they offer a great job, state of art, like any advanced neonatal unit in close to what we are practicing here in Canada or North America. Just to mention that Al-Shifa neonatal unit have been destroyed completely. We have some photos of how the devastation and destruction of the neonatal unit were in ICU, a place which no way can accommodate adult or patient other than just newborn baby. And the equipment is very specific to treat newborn babies. So Al-Shifa Hospital completely destroyed, including the neonatal unit. Nasser Hospital as well, neonatal unit have been destroyed. And what I have been told that whatever have been survived from the bombarding the hospital have been smashed and hammered by hand before they leave out. So all the equipment have gone to zero. Just to make the picture a little bit more clear, that I live in Calgary, where it's around 1.4 million population with very advanced antenatal care. This means care given to the mom. We have 126 neonatal bed in that city, which is 1.4 million. Expectantly, all of Gaza population is around 2.4 million. So what is left after this is only the Emirati NICU. The Emirati NICU used to have around 12 babies in average before the war. So this is their maximum capacity. There is a couple of NICU where they can transfer the more sick babies to that. Once this war happened and all the other hospitals either destroyed or ordered to be evacuated, all the patients have been to be moved or evacuated. Some of them have been transported over the border to Egypt, around 30 babies. But the minute the power have been cut in Al-Shifa Hospital, some babies have been died. And rest of babies, some of them have been rushed to the Emirati Hospital, where the capacity have been increased from 11, 12 baby. It reached to a maximum to around 73 baby in that small place. So you can imagine how the care could be. Of course, there is a lot of mortality. A lot of baby have been died because there is no place. At this time, early in the war, it was very cold, and many babies have been reached to hospital either dead, they are very cold, or during transport or after that. So this is just the landscape. So for now, the only functioning neonatal unit is Emirati neonatal unit. It accommodate around 40 to 45 babies in average. I never have seen a healthcare provider that dedicated that the team I have met all over my life. I cannot imagine how the people themselves are displaced, they living in tent, their families in threat, they are in threat to be bombed themselves, and still every day they come to work, they are dedicated to offer the best health care to the babies. I cannot imagine that. Nurses come from tent, from praxis at the end of the city, maybe riding cart or walking, and work for 24 hours. And they are very willing to offer the best care they can. They are willing to learn new things. They are willing to implement the best care they can ever do. So the people there, the physician, nurses, worker, cleaning, janitors, everybody is really like beyond any description. They are real hero. They don't receive salary, by the way. Every 50 days, they receive partial salary just to maybe be able to survive. So this is just the background of how we can imagine how the dire situation is. When we went there, of course, we find, of course, the NICU is very, very busy. It's not a secret that we, as a neonatologist, we know that once we reach 100% capacity, we start to be agitated and worried that more infection will come, more babies will be sick. We know that any neonatologist or anybody work in intensive care or even emergencies, once we reach 100% capacity, this is trouble will come. For them, they are working around 300% capacity all the time. This is the minimum they run, like triple what their capacity is. When we went there, actually, we were surprised, like the severe shortage of the supply, very basic supply, including sanitizer. There was no enough sanitizer. So hand sanitizer, I mean. So hand hygiene was a big issue to get, at this time. Even the regular soap, everything was short. After some time, we were able to secure some of the hand sanitizer, which makes the things a little bit better. But you can imagine that anybody work in neonatology knew that we use a circuit for respiratory support, and this circuit is patient dedicated. This means if I use a tubing for a patient, I cannot interchange this with another patient. It's single use. Unfortunately, because of interruption of the supply, they have to disinfect that circuit and use it for another patient. And this unfortunately ended up with transmitting infection, and we have lost some babies because of that. There is no way either to offer the respiratory support with what we think that it's disinfected tubes, or we don't offer the respiratory support where the baby can die also from lack of oxygen and getting things. So we are between, these two baddies. Which one choose? So the people, they thought maybe if we disinfect that circuit or connection lines, it might offer some help. So we have lost some babies because of that, unfortunately, and this is what we thought it's the best we can offer. One of the very big challenge we have seen and I have met myself were the breastfeeding and breast milk. The condition of the mother is devastating. Themselves, they are displaced, they are sick, they are tired, they are malnourished. There is no transportation system to bring them to the hospital to offer the breast milk for their babies. And even if they're able to pump some milk, there is no fridge because the power supply is always interrupted. Definitely in the accommodation, in the tent, in the street, there is no way to keep anything in the cold chain. There is no fridge. And even inside the hospital itself, the power and energy is very limited, and we try to save as much power as we can, just to keep it for the mandatory equipment which keeps the patient, like, monitoring the vital signs and doing the ventilator support and this stuff. So it was a very, very big challenge to even ask the mother where you see them. They are very anemic, they are very tired, they are very sick, they are unsafe. They came from the tent. Probably they have a couple of kids or other kids at the tent as well. And if they leave them and they come to the hospital where there is no transportation means, so this means that they may have to walk whatever, half an hour or 45 minutes to go back and forth. Adding to all this, the terrible situation of the water there. The water there is not clean. What I have seen a lot, I have passed by the pediatric emergency. I have talked to the doctor. I have seen a doctor who themselves, they get sick when they are in the hospital. They get IV fluid while they are on call because the water, you can say simply, it's unclean. I have some photos of how the water is. And there is no testing for the water in Rafah. Rafah may be the best situation all over Gaza now because it's still some municipality function, but there is no testing of water. So even the people get the water there, they buy it. Nobody know how is it. What I get from some physicians that probably there is around 800,000 cases of hepatitis A already have been in Gaza, all over Gaza. I have met a lot of doctors who, most of them, they said, yes, I know my kids get hepatitis A and they recovered. There is some
Dr. Adel,
adult patient who lost their life because of hepatitis A. This beside, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
no, I just want to say, and I think that's our experience as well when we're in touch with many of our friends in Gaza. Almost everyone reports being sick. And one can only imagine having to cope with the hardships of life in this situation. And on top of that, to have, severe gastrointestinal illness, to have hepatitis, to have, I mean, it sounds like an impossible, just a completely unbearable and impossible situation. But what I want to ask you is, in Rafah and at the Emirati hospital, you've talked about the shortages, having to reuse equipment that shouldn't be reused, just, trying to sterilize it and maybe not succeeding. Talk about, what did you see? You came in with GLIA, a group that has been able to get some medicine into Gaza and doing a fantastic job with that. That's an organization that our friend Dr. 𝐓𝐴𝐞 𝐄𝐥𝐞𝐜, who we've had on this live stream several times, has helped to establish. But obviously, one organization can't bring in the medications or the supplies needed in such an overwhelming situation. What did you see in terms of any aid coming in, any medical aid coming in? Talk to us about the food situation. You've already talked about the terrible water situation, but obviously, just in the last few days, the Rafah crossing was completely closed when Israel occupied it. But in the time you were there, which was just before that, you were there until just the beginning of this month. What did you see in terms of aid and supplies coming into Gaza?
Okay, thank you, Ali. So I think it's a great opportunity to highlight what Tariq is doing, and I think Tariq and Dorothea, they are doing a great job. They dedicate themselves to certain areas and certain department, which actually we are hoping that we made some difference, and we hope the difference will continue. Of course, the last hit to the border and the crossing equipment, it pushed us back. Before we go, we try to do some homework, and we're in contact with the NICU staff, including the head of the NICU there, Dr. Salama and his team. So we get to some extent some sense of what is the deficiency. It's not a secret that, when we get there, we have almost 40 suitcase of equipment dedicated to between emergency and the NICU. Many of them including certain types of formula, milk formula, special formula for sick babies. We included some equipment and supply, which we figured out this could be needed. And actually, we able to get many of this with us into the NICU. Obviously, it did help in significant, I guess, contribution to that. But I just to complete the picture to show that how the besieging the Gaza Strip and blocking the medical supply could be devastating. I think anybody work with the NICU or neonatology or sick babies may understand what I'm talking about. That you imagine that the whole Emirati hospital, there is no blood gas machine. The blood gas machine is very important to assess babies and patient condition while they are in the mechanical ventilation or breathing machine. Without this, it's very hard actually to manage this patient. So there is no functioning blood gas machine because the kits which run the machine it run out and there is no continuous supply. There is no way to get this in. So this is one of the things Tarek was working on. We were surprised also, like checking some of the blood tests, like the electrolyte in the blood, like the sodium, potassium, calcium, all this was almost not available in the lab there. And we are in the process to offer this to the hospital and to the NICU as well. So managing this baby without all this essential equipment and supply, it's very, very hard actually to get an excellent or good outcome. And in spite of that, the people try to do their best and try to offer the best care they can to the babies. But this is how the situation where you return maybe 50 years back in medical care.
Yeah.
Where actually the equipment was there, but there is interruption of the cartridge or the kits which run the blood test. So the lab is there, but they can't do anything about it. So this is a simple example. We have an issue with the laryngoscope, where actually Tarek able to secure. We have some issue with the nasogastric tube, where we're able to feed the tiny baby through the tube because they cannot feed by themselves. The only available there was not suitable tubes. It was thick and hard, and it's very difficult to keep it in the nose or the mouth of the baby for long. So the nurses have to put it each time they give the baby feed. They have to put the tube in and out, which is not the standard practice. So GLIA have tried hard to get this, secure this. Actually, there is supposed to be in May 13, some supply should get in. Out of this, we get, actual deficiencies because I was there. So I able to figure out exactly what was needed and we're able to get that stuff. The stuff is there and supposed to get in May 13. We don't know how this will go. So this is because of this, I have seen cases where babies who are marasmic, severely malnourished because they cannot feed, they cannot tolerate the formula which are available there. Some special formula were able to secure some special formula with us, but not enough amount to cover all the babies there. So I have seen a baby who was severely marasmic, severely malnourished because of equipment or formula deficiencies. And this is something very easy to offer. It is not something, it is not a high tech or anything. It's available everywhere. They just need to cross the border and they get to the NICU. And people there know how to use it. And they are very willing and eager to help and do whatever they can to help that babies.
Dr. Adel, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you two things. One is, as you returned back to Canada and returned back to, your work as a neonatologist with all the, standard modern equipment at your disposal, what is maybe the one patient or the one family who really sticks with you who you met and treated and cared for during your time in Gaza. And the second question is in terms of the support from people around the world, how can people get in touch with 𝐓𝐡𝐞, support the work of the doctors and this open source medical supply technology?
Yeah, thank you. So in the very question, actually, there is a few patients where I have been in contact with. Some of them were actually a patient where in a situation called meconium aspiration, and this is without the resources we have here in Canada. Sometimes it's very hard to manage this patient, and actually we're able with some little bit courageous maneuver, we're able to manage this patient very well, and the outcome was very good. And we figured out that just very small equipment, if we offer to the people there, it can make a big difference in the outcome. Something called high flow nasal cannula, which is a bridging between invasive ventilation and non-invasive ventilation. And we thought this is, if we can get few of this machine there, it will be a good help for babies to recover from their respiratory illnesses. We can imagine with poor neonatal care, the health condition of the mom, the spread out of infection, all this stuff put these babies at very high risk. And the minimum invasive things we do to this baby, probably this will be better to help them to recover their illnesses. So we are talking about this, getting this, supply, but hopefully the things will open again and we'll able to get our staff in. I think what I see from 𝐓𝐡𝐞, actually, they are the amount of dedication and sacrifice they do, and the focus they have. What I like about 𝐓𝐴, they are very focused and they really believe in equal care, which is very good. So what I see from 𝐓𝐴, whatever I do for my patient here, I supposed to do for the patient there. And I get that. And I think this is what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very unique about 𝐓𝐴. So everything we try to do to the standard. And if things go in different ways, this is a different story. But we're like almost to the obsession that we need to get to that standard. And the good thing is that the people, what I see from the people there, they are ready. They are almost there. It's just few things, but I think just the block, which is make things very, very difficult.
Yeah. Dr. Adel Elsharkawy, you are a neonatologist, just returned from the Gaza Strip as part of a medical delegation with the 𝐓𝐴 project. Dr. Adel, thank you so much for joining us today on the Electronic Intifada live stream, and we'd love to have you on again to help make sense of this medical humanitarian catastrophe, especially for children. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work
My
you're
pleasure,
doing.
and I hope to go back soon. I will see.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Adel. Please stay safe.
Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit like, leave a comment. These engagements help us with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps us to get around Silicon Valley censorship as much as possible. It does make a difference. You can also support our journalism by going to electronicintifada.net and clicking on donate now. Thank you.